Hi everyone, this is Nadia, award-winning author, award-winning mentor, CLAIRSENTIENT psychic, and founder at Spartanite. Today it so happens that it's national or international. You can feel free to correct me in the comment section. International or national Mental Health Awareness Day, and I want to bring a lot of light to this in my work in Spartanite through divine self-empowerment, usually for bold entrepreneurs, but I extend divine empowerment to everybody who is willing to rise into their power. So there are very many ways that I can start with this whole mental health thing, and people talk about counseling, people talk about psychotherapy, people talk about how to be mindful, people talk about different things. This topic is very laden, this topic is very deep, and as much as my video footage and time permits me, I will be able to share that with you guys. So what is stable mental health? Well, it comes as no surprise that we live in a psychopathic world where the fight is not between this race and that race, or not a class, it's between feeling empathic humans and psychopaths, and that energy is quickly spreading in the world where people will comfortably sell their family members for money. They will comfortably sell their children for money. That's how desperate people have become, and I understand that, and I can really cover a lot of socioeconomic issues, geopolitical issues in this video, but I want to focus on mental health. Every single person, including myself on this planet, is struggling with mental health. Don't let anybody shame you, don't let anybody fool you to think that mental health is something that only a select amount of people struggle with. There is not a single person that I don't know, especially in Western society, because the pressure of living is harder and more expensive, and I'm going to tie it into a money situation as well. In Western society, to a point that people are constantly depressed, anxious, suffering with breakdowns, suffering with panic attacks, suffering with bipolar, suffering with PTSD, suffering with isolation, suffering with depression, suffering with loneliness, suffering with all kinds of things, because you know what it is? We, as the human race, have been disconnected from our own source. The elite have done a fantastic job to introduce substandard and shitty technology. This technology is nothing special that I'm recording it on. In fact, what was promised to the human race, we got the very basic, downgraded, crappy version. It's like being given a first class ticket and then you end up in economy. So that's how I describe it. Anyway, because that's part of the point and not part of the point, but I thought I'd throw that in there. How does one have stable mental health? What does stable mental health look like when you can't muster space or time to get out of bed in the morning, where you are up 3 hours before you go to work, or you have meetings for your business, or you need to drop your children to school? What does it look like? How can we create a routine in our life that gives us stability, that gives us comfort, that soothes us, that nourishes us? Well, really, let's go back to the source of anything. Most people come from trauma-based and abusive, neglectful and abandon-based backgrounds. Most parents are not conscious. They have no idea what conscious living is. Conscious living, very simply, is being aware of your emotions and practicing mindful self-talk. Most people have never ever done this in their life. They live materialistic-based lives, again, especially in Western society. The inner hunger, that's how I describe it in one of the languages I speak, that inner greed. The greed has overtaken this world so much that people have lost the simple pleasures of life, like going and taking a loaf of bread and feeding dogs, spending time volunteering, sitting in the park, meeting with friends for a coffee, something like that, because all people want to do is fuck people, get money, or whatever it is, as though that money is somehow going to compensate for the misery that they feel inside. It won't, by the way. Anybody watching this, your goal is not to just get money, because let me tell you personally, I know so many successful people financially who are nothing but miserable on the inside. They won't tell you they're miserable, but if you are truly in alignment with God, you are truly in alignment with Source, with Spirit, you see the misery from their eyes. You see how disconnected and lonely they are. Now, every single person, including myself, struggles with loneliness. Loneliness, it does not come from not having people around you. Loneliness comes from the fact where you do not feel connected to the people around you because they're just self-absorbed, they're into technology, they're glued to their phones all the time, which doesn't come as a surprise because that's exactly how society is broken down. That feminism, breakdown of the family unit, the masculine and feminine war between each other, this all contributes to the detriment of mental health. When one cannot find a suitable partner to get married to, that affects your mental health. When one cannot find stable paying jobs, that affects your mental health. When one has up and down cash flow and does not have a sense of stability, that affects your mental health. When one constantly goes back to an abusive, traumatic household, whether it's your parents, whether it's your siblings, whether it's your kids, whether it's the person you're living with, whether it's your roommates, and there's constantly strife, drama, bullshit, negative energy, that affects your mental health. Your friends not being there for you to support you when you really need them, that affects your mental health. So many things affect your mental health. So what ends up happening is that we get to a point where we burn out, where your body just stops responding to anything that's going on. You become teary, overwhelmed. The simplest of tasks, what once upon a time brought you joy in your life, is taken away from you. Now, I want to say money does have a bearance on mental health, and it doesn't. And I want to try and explain this from both sides of the coin. I don't want people to look at this and be like, oh, well, there's only one side, or it's only this side. People who struggle with bringing in money struggle with their mental health for quite obvious reasons. Poverty is painful. When one cannot meet their basic needs, they cannot buy the clothes they want to, they cannot buy the shoes they want to, they cannot buy the food they want to, they cannot live the lifestyle they want. By lifestyle, I don't want anybody watching this and mistake it that you need to be a high roller at a casino and hang out with multimillionaires. To be honest, I don't give a shit about that lifestyle because a lot of it's fake anyway. Lifestyle is being able to meet your needs. Do you want to eat nourishing, wholesome, comforting food? Do you want to wear warm, clean clothes? Do you want a house that you feel safe in? Those kind of things. Do you want a car that doesn't break down halfway? Those kind of basic things in life. So if you can't meet those needs, you feel impoverished. And the feeling of impoverishedness is what ends up extending out and people pick up on it. So that's very stressful if you don't know how you're going to pay your bills or how you're going to be able to meet your rent. So in that sense, your mental health is affected. Now, there are a lot of people who think that those who have wealthy lifestyles or those who have money simply cannot, possibly have mental health issues. There are so many people, again, I'll go back to the same thing what I'm saying. There's so many successful entrepreneurs, successful professionals that I've known that have an abundance of money, but they are affected with their mental health. When one comes into an abundance of money, traditionally you live differently. It's difficult to relate to the average person. This is not meant from a place of arrogance. This is not meant from a place of snobbishness. It's just your outlook changes, what you can do changes. So then there's a sense of isolation. Who do I do it with? Where do I go? How does this work? And people who are typically either struggle with money traditionally, or maybe they're just kind of breaking even, they'll always have that hatred as though, oh well, that person's rich, why would they need to suffer? Just because you have an abundance of money does not mean somebody cannot be depressed, cannot be in rehab, cannot be struggling with anxiety or whatever it is. So when it comes to mental health, people in the West traditionally turn to science. Predictably, they turn to technology, they turn to psychotropics, they turn to psychedelics, they turn to pharmaceuticals or pharmaceutical drugs or big pharma drugs. People in the East turn inwards, they turn more towards a spiritual base of living. What ends up happening is for mental health, yes, you need more than plenty to cover your basic needs or whatever it is, but for mental health, the peace that one finds on the inside always comes from spiritual living. It always comes from practicing some sort of self-care, whether it is, working out properly, whether it is going to the gym, mindfulness, meditation. But those are very surface level, just like I always see basic self-care. As an occultist, I see it as basic self-care. To me, truly taking care of your mental health is working through any levels of trauma, any limiting beliefs that you may have inherited from an ancestral point of view from your family. It is also looking at very many other things that people don't want to look at, such as spiritual blockages, magical blockages. What is really stopping you from achieving that happiness? Now, it goes as no surprise that 5G tech, chemtrails, many other things, the food, the drink, all the stuff that's laced with arsenic and poison and everything, is corrupting the human race and making all of us miserable. So my advice to people who want to focus with mental health is this: there's a lot of people in the West that live alone. If you do, and you don't have a lot of family or a lot of friends around you, make sure you do things like volunteer, spend time with animals, spend time, go out. Don't just go out to eat and then come back home. Really find causes that, move your heart, and find a tribe of people where you may not understand them, may not like them at first, but there's human company. And there's the reason that when people go to prison, they put them in solitary confinement, because that is one of the worst forms of torture. Humans are social animals. People are obsessed with social media, their smartphones. Nobody's going to show you a shitty day on Instagram or your Facebook or whatever it is. So stop trying to buy into people's nonsense. Stop trying to buy into people's bullshit. Stop trying to, what will people think? That's a recurring theme on my videos, because so many people are so obsessed with what will people think, instead of just letting it the fuck go and just living for yourself. The biggest freedom of mental health and having stability mentally is having a clean aura. Now, as a Spartanite, and obviously running Spartanite as well, one of the biggest things that gave me stability in mental health was obviously going through trauma-based counseling, as I'm a CPTSD survivor myself, and a narcissistic abuse survivor equally. And not only that, but there is so much that we take on as trauma survivors. There is so much that the average person takes on from other people, especially if you are spiritually sensitive, a clairsentient psychic, an empath such as myself. You can become overwhelmed. I can become so overwhelmed working with people that I can go from happy, smiley, confident, incredible to a wreck within days. I can be crying sitting in my bed, I feel suicidal, I feel this world's hopeless, and I know those are not my feelings. So there are so many people that are holding these like sores, these energetic sores, very heavy energies, not realizing that they still have cords. I also offer cord cuttings, and I'll throw the link for the aura cleansers and the cord cuttings in this video as well at the bottom, where you guys can be free to check it out on our website. And a lot of people don't realize that they have cords. Like when you're good friends with someone, you have sex with somebody, so you obviously sleep with someone, you have maybe family members, and there's always this like strife, like these karmic cords that are going between you and this person. It's not peaceful, it's not healthy, it's always very dramatic, it's all over the place. You need your cords snapped. A lot of people break up with their exes, but they're not really broken up because those cords have not been snapped. Until and unless you snap and cut those cords spiritually, you are still very much attached in your ex's energy fields, and vice versa. Which is why so many relationships don't work out and people end up back with their exes, because those cords simply keep pulling them in. A lot of people's auras are very heavy. As somebody not only who's clairsentient, which means clear feeling psychically, I have the gift of clairvoyance, the gift of sight. I can literally see almost black sludge just pouring off people when I go out sometimes. It's like literally standing next to a trash bin. It's disgusting, but there's no way of telling somebody that. So a lot of people can hold these very, very heavy emotions like depression, anxiety, and I encourage everybody watching this video to really examine the kind of people that you let around you, and what is their energy state, where are they at in life, what is their self-talk, how does your body respond to them, how are you around them. And truly the answer is not always medical, because there's so many people I know that end up on these antidepressant tablets, which there's no such thing as antidepressant. It's more to get rid of people quickly. That's the goal of Big Pharma. The goal of Big Pharma is to keep you sick so they can profit off you very quickly. There is sick care, which is taking all these medications, tablets, and then there's health care, which is learning to heal yourself the natural way through herbs, through looking within yourself, have you got an allergy to dairy? Have you got an allergy to wheat? I'm celiac personally, can't consume wheat at all. Are you allergic to something that you may not realize, and that's why it's flaring up in your body? See, your body's intelligent, your body remembers everything, and with mental health, it usually comes to a point that you feel like it's gone overboard and your mind can't cope with it anymore, and then after that you kind of hit that brick wall. Now there's so many times that we are trying to make sense of our emotions from our mind. We're constantly trying to how do I put this in words? We're trying to feel our emotions in our head. Now, I'm super guilty of that. I obviously speak for myself, and probably a lot of other air signs as well. So if you're a Gemini, if you're a Libra, if you're an Aquarius, I'm an Aquarius, and I know exactly how this works. You get trapped inside your own damn head. You know, it's your feelings are like literally inside your head, essentially. And I guess for everybody else, and especially men as well, men got trapped very logical, very, you know, I have to make sense of it logically. I encourage, ladies are probably better at this, so I encourage all the gentlemen watching this, check in with your body, meditate, ask yourself, practice mindful self-talk. You know, men don't have to be these hustlers that are going 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. You're human, stop it, and stop putting other pressure, other men in so much pressure around you. Yes, men traditionally want to work hard, want to provide, but you need your downtime, you need time to rest, because if you don't have time to rest as a human being, you will simply stop functioning. If we do the tiny things, we reward ourselves every week. Maybe we have a smoothie, or we meet with our friend, or we go watch a silly comedy. Small things really contribute to your mental health. I want to tell everybody on this special day today that nobody is unworthy, irrespective of whatever you've gone through, whatever abuse, whatever trauma, whatever household, whatever, how much money or how much money you don't have, what you look like, what you don't look like. True beauty always starts from within. You can look at someone that's very attractive on the outside, but if their attitude is not based on mindful self-compassion, they won't be able to extend compassion to other people. If someone is not kind to themselves, they will never be able to be kind to you or kind to people around them. People are too busy looking for the red flags in society or in relationships. Why don't you try looking for the green flags within yourself, so you can identify healthy, loving, mutual, satisfying friendships, relationships, and connections with others. So you're always valued, no matter who you are, where you are. It doesn't matter what kind of situation you are watching this. You know, there's always hope for you. And mental health is something that's a fine line. If you know, even somebody that's the strongest person probably struggles with mental health the most, reach out to people, ask them, how are they? A simple, how are you? I hope everything's well. Let's just talk for 15 minutes can change someone's life. Like, comment, share, subscribe. I would love to hear your comments in the section below. Thank you so much for watching. Take care and hope you have a good day ahead. Bye.